approval of minutes. We've all received the minutes from the June 18th meeting. Are there any further discussions regarding the minutes? If not, we have a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from our last board meeting.
I'll second that.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Aye.
And Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Next, approval of claims. Any questions, comments regarding those claims? If not, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the claims as presented.
I'll second.
Vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Ms. Maggart?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Personnel considerations, Dr. Wiedenhofer.
Yeah, Board, in your packet, you do have your personnel considerations for tonight, July 16th. We do have retirements, we do have appointments, and we do have reassignment on there. So I ask that you approve our personnel considerations as presented.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Boots? Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Ms. Maggart?
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Wiedenhofer.
And Board, for your consideration too, we do have a bus driver on here that will need some approval as we do bringing them to each board member. We do have Michelle Yohe on tonight for your consideration for bus driver. I ask you to approve as presented.
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Maggart?
Yes.
Mr. Poor? Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next up, we have special reports. We have an Eagle Scout report with Jen Snow.
It's me. Good evening. How are you? I'm super excited to be here because, well, it's my daughter that should be the first female Eagle Scout in Steuben County when she gets through with her board of review. Now, they've scheduled her board of review, and they also scheduled her to be in Colorado for another scout thing, so that's not really gonna work out, but we're really close. We've got all the stuff done. So this is, come on up, this is Kylie Snow. You may know her as a 2024 Angola graduate. She graduated the first year of the fire program. She graduated with National Honor Society, all kinds of honors. Let's see, what else do I know about you? Marching band, she was a marching band soloist this year, so that was pretty awesome. And let's see, you give me notes. Scouting. So she's been scouting for about 5 years, and she is all the way through all the ranks. The last one is the Eagle, and there's this huge project you have to do. So we've been a part of the Green Shirts or the crew, which is the co-ed for the older kids, the high adventure stuff, for quite a while. She has been the president of the crew. She's been the SPL of the new Fremont Girls Troop. She's been involved in the Order of the Arrow, which is the National Honor Society of Scouting. She's the chapter chief currently for that group. So she's very involved, and I'm super excited to let her show you about her project.
All right, so like she said, the Eagle rank is the highest rank you can earn in scouting for troop-wise, and you have to do a huge project. So I decided to do an outdoor classroom and an outdoor reading area at Hendry Park. So the reading area is in a little cove in the front of the school, and the classroom area is in the back in the fenced-in area. So I got my inspiration and ideas from Camp Chief Little Turtle, where I work during the summertime. This is my 3rd year working and this is my 1st year as the Outdoor Skills Director. They have a huge campfire ring, so that's where I got my idea for the outdoor classroom. And then they, like last year or 2 years ago, they built a hammock city. So they just put up a whole bunch of poles and they would hang their hammocks and have an area for that. So the first part of an Eagle project is planning and designing. So we did some of this with Mrs. Brandt, the principal at Hendry Park, and we did mock-ups, as you can see in this photo. This is the mock-ups for the reading area, and my grandpa, as part of Lockwood Welding, donated all of the metal for the caps. And then the benches, we routed the edges and put cross braces on the bottom so they would be more stable. And then the one in the middle, that's our design for the hammock area. And then up there's the classroom area. We changed it a little bit, but that's okay. And then we just made some mock-ups. So, my first fundraising part was to the PTO at Hendry Park. They told me I need to actually go do some fundraising. So I then went to the fire department and they decided to donate. And then I went to the police department and the organization Cops for Kids generously agreed to fund the entire proposed amount, which was $2,000. And because of that, we were able to review that amount, and because of HP, PTO, the fire department, Lockwood Welding, Mrs. Dorr, Indiana Refractories, and John Tipton, I was able to make this project all happen. So this was the area before. The one on the right is the cove in the front of the school for the reading area, and then the fenced-in area in the back corner right here for the classroom area. So, the process. We had to buy the materials first. Next one. We had to measure, cut, and then put together mock-ups and the benches. We built the benches. We laid out the area for all of it and measured it and marked it all out. And then we put strings all over to make sure that we had all of them lined up, and the metal caps to make sure that's where we wanted the poles. And then we did the same thing for the reading the classroom area. And then we had to rent some materials, and then we started digging holes. And more holes. And the little wood boards, if you can see that one, it's got a hole in it, so it's like 12-inch hole for a 10-inch auger. It makes it easier for cleanup, so that when you pull the auger up, it doesn't spill dirt everywhere. And more holes. And rocks bigger than the size of the hole. And then a heart-shaped rock on the right side. And Mrs. Brandt. And then we, for the reading area, we set the 4 corners first, and then put concrete in them. We filled them all the way up to the top. And then after that, we set the rest of the poles. Just right there. And then more concrete for all of the holes. And more holes.
It's a lot of holes.
Yeah. So this thing is a laser, and it, if you see over there, there's like a thing on the board. It like makes it all straight. So we marked all of them to make sure they were all the same height, and then we cut them. And then we went out back and dug more holes. And we realized that once we got like halfway down, we needed jackhammers because there were so many rocks. And the buckets. And then we did the same thing with cutting them all off at the same height. And we put cross braces on them. Yep, you're good. And then we screwed on the top of the benches. And here's the finished outdoor classroom. It fits 80 students or 60 adults. And then this is the finished reading area. You can fit a total of 26, and we added 2 poles, like part of the 26 for the teachers. So, yeah. I want to thank the school board for allowing me to do this project and for completing it. And my board of review for Eagle will be very soon.
Oh, you're not done. Go back up here. So what kind of inspired you? I know you've seen it, but what really inspired you? Now, you have a mom that works at the same elementary, so you had a little bit of help, but what inspired you to really focus on reading or kind of do that amphitheater?
Well, part of the ideas were from my mom and Mrs. Brandt. They have been wanting some type of project to get the kids more outside. So I thought a reading area for the kids would let them go outside. Doesn't have to be for long, but just to get them outside and out of the classroom would be more fun. In the outdoor classroom area, it just gets them outside with fresh air and not acting like they're stuck inside.
I assume you're going to go to college for supervisory services because you were out there and had all those boys and young men working, and you were doing a great job of telling them what they need to do. So is that in fact what you're going to school for?
But part of the Eagle Project is leadership. So it was kind of hard for me to do leadership when I wasn't sure what I was doing. So we came up with a plan. So John Tipton was my advisor, and he supported me a lot through this. So he directed me, and then I directed everybody else. So he showed me how to do like whatever we were doing, like cutting them off or whatever, and then I would teach the other people and kind of give them the leadership.
That is a fantastic job, and board, I encourage you to get out there and see it because it is super, super cool. And I know they work really, really hard. Super proud of you and what you accomplished. So excellent job, young lady.
Ask about the hammock. Is it looks like it's more of a
Mesh?
mesh or a softer.
You know what it is? So the school went ahead and purchased, the PTO went ahead and purchased actual youth hammocks. So that's what those are.
So
all the time, and then they just take them out when they're going to go out.
yep, so they would clip them into the chain links that we put on the metal caps, and when they're done using it, they'll just unclip it, take it back inside, store it in the classroom or wherever they decide to store it, and the hammocks are like $11, $12, so they're easily replaceable.
So just for fun, tell them how many work hours and how many people.
Oh, I forgot about that. There was 416 hours of work, and there was over 20 people helping me, and one day specifically we had like 16 people. We had lots of help.
Well, before you leave, you got to come and get your picture taken with everybody because we have our photographer here because we want to put that on there. Oh, you got to come right in the front because you're front and center. Bring your mama up here too.
Come on, Mom.
A summary of scores through the teacher evaluation process. This is for the 23-24 school year. We had one teacher who was ranked improvement necessary, 71 effective, and 96 highly effective. The one improvement necessary was due to attendance issues and having a point deducted, and that person has moved on to a different role.
Thank you. Budget adoption timeline. Dr. Penrod.
Good evening. So this is about budget time, as you know, so we're into July, obviously, and so some data is starting to get released that we need, so like from the DLGF. I saw some stuff today or yesterday that said budget forms are officially released, and so as you know, all of that stuff takes place on Gateway, which is one of the state websites the DLGF uses for budget submission. Right now, we're looking at a similar process to what we've done in the past. We've got an August kind of budget workshop, which will be a high-level overview, including a look at debt service. The debt service information will be available more readily than the other funds that we have, and so that one will be pretty easy to come up with. We'll go over debt service in depth in August, and everything else kind of a high-level overview. Then we'll start looking at hearings, posting on Gateway, and then hearings. Those hearings take place in the September board meeting. We'll go over the budget itself, hearings, capital projects, or excuse me, capital assets, capital acquisitions, and bus replacement plans. Have a hearing on all three of those. And then in October, we'll ask you for approval of those three plans, the 2025 budget, a resolution to transfer funds from education operations, if necessary, a resolution to transfer appropriation within a fund, and a resolution granting Dr. Weedno-Fernay the authority to reduce what's called line 1, 11, or 16 on the Form 4B during the 1782 period. So all of those things you've seen in the past. Nothing really changes from year to year. Just kind of want to let you know, update-wise, that's kind of what we're looking at the next 3 board meetings. Questions?
Thank you. Old business, annual approval of a teacher appreciation grant, policy number 4114. Dr. Relu.
Sorry, I was just looking to make sure. For you have a copy of the current board policy for our teacher appreciation grant. This has not changed, but we are required to annually adopt the policy. So I'm just seeking your permission to continue the policy as written.
Do we have a motion?
Motion we approve?
Second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Mager?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Textbook adoption, Dr. Relu.
Board, in your packet, you have the courses that we are wanting to purchase new textbook materials. Most of these will be online resources with a class set of texts, unless it says software only, and then it's only online. So you'll see that we are adopting materials for biology, integrated chemistry, physics, business math, and marketing fundamentals. Prices are there with the exception of business math. That quote just came back. So we're looking at $160. That is over the course of 6 years, although we don't have the rental part of that anymore. So that's just the cost of that, but we'll be using those texts for that amount of time. The Brain Pop for middle school science, that is an annual cost of $35.60, but that is used by all of the teachers. The Exploring College and Careers software is also able to be used by all teachers, but is targeted specifically for that course. So I'm asking your approval for us to be able to make those purchases.
Do we have?
All of these vendors just turn the content on. We already have all of these platforms in our district, so it's just them turning on access to the new text, and then I assign it to the courses.
Okay, so all of this is online?
All online.
These are not books?
We will get for the science courses and the business math, or I guess the business courses, we will get class sets of books also, but the online will be turned on as soon as we submit the purchase order.
So class set, you're talking one in each classroom, so they have access to it, but not for every student?
Correct.
Question. So when you do online, like say I'm doing a math book curriculum, how many sets do you get when you order?
So we
Is it
actually,
unlimited, or is it, I mean, or do you have to say I'm getting 25, or?
so typically we order the number of the average class size.
Okay.
So typically we're ordering either 25 or 30
Gotcha.
texts to have in the classroom for each teacher who's teaching that course.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the textbooks as presented.
Second.
The vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Caswell,
Yes.
Mager,
Yes.
Aye.
Ridenhour.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Board discussion, informational items. We have Board Policy 4261, the first reading. Dr. Manahan.
Hello, Board. If you have been paying attention to the news, in November of 2022, something pretty major happened in technology with the advent and free access to ChatGPT and generative AI. While AI, artificial intelligence, has been around since before the 1950s, but has been being investigated at university level and for research purposes, this was the first time that generative AI was widely available for free to the general public. And overnight, things changed. Schools are a little slower to change, and even though we're on the cutting edge of technology here at MSD of Steuben County, it took a lot of guidance, a lot of resources, and a lot of research to come up with best practices for education. We're a member of the Consortium for School Networking, which is the National Organization for Technology Directors, along with the Council of Great City Schools, which services the 100 largest school districts in the country. They were the first to develop a generative AI readiness checklist and maturity model for schools. So just as we use a rubric to score students' essays, for example, this rubric, the maturity model, would score a school district's preparedness for generative AI. We've had a cross-functional team, including technology and curriculum. Ms. Billow as our technology leadership cohort member and Angola Classroom Teachers Association member, going through that readiness checklist and now going through that maturity model. Indiana was the 10th state to issue statewide guidance for educational technology on generative AI. And pooling all of those examples and all of the other work that is being done on the cutting edge, we felt it was time to revise both our student and parent acceptable use policy, as well as you'll see, our staff acceptable use policy to address generative AI. As a district, we will not block access to generative AI tools that are age appropriate and curriculum appropriate for students to use and create an equity issue. We do have students in our community whose only access to the internet is here at our district and with our district device. So we don't want to add to the inequity by blocking something that would be developmentally and curriculum appropriate. As you can read through that policy, we are cautioning students that it is at the teacher's discretion whether those tools are able to be used in their classroom. And that could be an all or nothing. There will be further guidance coming out for teachers to help them determine their preparedness for generative AI and its use in the classroom, and how to clearly communicate that to students at different age and grade level appropriate language. Because it may vary from assignment to assignment. It may be an all or nothing for that specific teacher or that specific course. We were able to participate. We were one of about 30 school districts who participated in the AI-powered pilot grant this year through the Department of Education. That did allow our students in grades 3, 4, and 5 and our teachers access to Khanmigo, which was Khan Academy's first iteration of AI available for student and teacher use in that walled garden environment where we have access to records of all of the chats, access to everything students have been looking at, and teachers can allow or disallow those features, all while our content filter is running. That pilot was fairly successful given the small timeline we had to work with, and we did have some classrooms that really took off on using Khanmigo as the tool. And we continue to see these generative AI tools baked into curriculum that we've already purchased or that we're already using throughout the district. Canva, for example, which is used to develop lots of presentations and marketing materials throughout the district at classroom levels and the district level, has generative AI tools built in, image generation. It will help you create a presentation if you give it ideas and resources. So we just want to be sure that we're very clear about where generative AI falls and the special pitfalls that come with a new technology like this, such as student data privacy, scrutiny. We don't believe everything that Google tells us, or at least we shouldn't, also with generative AI. But also being very clear to make sure that the teacher is in charge of what goes on in the classroom, even though it won't be blocked at the district level. That would be the academic integrity would come into play for students who would fail to meet those guidelines the teacher has set. So this is our student and parent acceptable use policy for your consideration. Please let us know if you have any feedback. We'll bring it for a second reading next month. And this is for our staff. You'll see much of the language is the same, ensuring that teachers know that they retain control of what is allowed and not allowed in their classroom, but also cautioning teachers that while several tools are out there that say they can detect whether or not generative AI has completed work that has been turned in, every research project has shown that those are not reliable sources. There is no way to detect whether something was written via generative AI or not. And so cautioning teachers that accusing students based on one of those tools is probably not an effective way to create a classroom culture or to really get at academic integrity. I think you'll see in the next few years assignment types changing and also a return to things like the blue book essay writing that we all were familiar with from our college days. I think you'll see more of that returning as we navigate this new era. And again, I'll bring that staff acceptable use policy back for your consideration next month, and we welcome your feedback in between as we continue to work through guidelines and further guidance for the district.
Thank you. New business, we have the transportation handbook. Mr. Wagner.
Each of you should have a copy of the transportation handbook. You probably notice it's rather thick compared to a lot of the other handbooks that we have, but this is because it's very specific to drivers and the policies that they have to follow on a daily basis and also throughout the year. We also incorporated a lot of the classified handbook into this handbook as well, but again, made it very specific to transportation department. So that would be sick time, personal time, things like that, so that they were informed and educated on the policies and the procedures here at MSD. So I'm asking you to approve our transportation handbook for the 24-25 school year.
That we approve the transportation handbook.
I'll second. And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart?
Yes.
Aye.
Ridenhour?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, the substitute handbook.
Again, board, you should have a copy of the substitute handbook. Not a lot of changes went into this one, but we did hear some voices of substitutes to try to inform them of specifics like start times, end times, time clocks, things like that would be informative for when a sub is going to a building, especially if they're working in multiple buildings within the district. So we believe that this handbook will help guide them throughout the course of the year. And again, I ask you to approve the 24-25 substitute handbook for this upcoming school year.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve?
Second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart?
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Return to in-person reentry plan. Dr. Raylu.
Board, in your packet, have the reentry plan that you approved in March. There are no changes to that plan, but we are required under our ESSER grants to bring that to you for approval. We're hoping this is the last time, but we may bring it again in December as we close out those ESSER funds. The guidelines follow what currently is the recommendation of CDC and locally available resources. And then what parents should be looking for in terms of symptoms and what they need to do in response to that. But we are pretty much doors open and no restrictions, and are being advised that COVID should be treated as any other flu or cold. Once fever-free for 24 hours, students can return and there's no quarantining. So those are kind of the major highlights there.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the plan.
I'll second.
The vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yay.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart?
Yes.
Aye.
Ridenhour?
Yes.
So Board, in your packet, you have a recommendation from our director of the Early Learning Center to put in place a staff salary scale. You'll notice that for each description of credentials and position, there is a starting salary. For our instructional assistants, you'll notice that there is a recommendation that they be awarded $1 per hour raise each year that they continue on in the program. That's to incentivize people to stay, and that's up to earning $20 an hour. There's also a recommendation for a supplemental pay at the end of each quarter or at the end of the summer program for employees who have perfect attendance. One of the challenges in covering the Early Learning Center is people have to have all of the credentials required in a child care institution. And so it's challenging to keep the ratio that's required of that, 1 to 15 teacher-student ratio if people are not there. So we want to incentivize people to take care of their appointments and things outside of school hours or in days that we are not in school. So perfect attendance employees would be awarded $1 per hour for every hour worked during that quarter or during summer camp. That is all budgeted in the budget that you have in your packet also, so you can see that funds are expected to be available for both the salary scale and raises as well as the perfect attendance performance bonus. So I'm asking your approval of that salary scale for that group.
Corey, Shauna, can I make a question here? A certified lead teacher, are they certified differently than the teachers that are going to be at Pleasant Lake?
Those teachers hold an Indiana teaching license as well as their Montessori certification.
Are they going to be paid on our teaching scale like all the other teachers since they've got the license?
That is correct. The certified lead teachers are on the MSD salary schedule. That is the starting, yes, that's correct. That's the first year starting salary.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the ELC staff salary scale.
I'll second that.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Mrs. Boots?
Yes.
Caswell?
Yes.
Maggart?
Yes.
Ford?
Aye.
Ridenhour?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. We have the RTAP approval with Trine. Dr. Raylu.
So, Board, we are so fortunate to have Trine University as a partner. They continue to watch the educational landscape and pursue opportunities that are beneficial to both the university as well as their school district partners. Recently, Trine's Transition to Teaching program has been approved through the Department of Labor as a registered teacher apprentice program. What that means is our teachers that are going through their Transition to Teaching program will actually also be co-enrolled in the RTAP program. There are very few restrictions or additional requirements that go along with that. We have to report their starting salary. We have to report their salary after completing their apprenticeship, showing that they have had an increase. Our salary schedule already does that, so that's really almost the only box we have to check that is different from what we are already doing with our transition to teaching candidates. With this program, however, we fill out a form, we sign the form, the teacher signs the form. Trine is able to submit for reimbursement up to $3,000 of the cost of that program. So that's basically just $3,000 that does not go onto our tuition bill for those students. So it cuts almost in half the cost of that program. So we're very excited that they have pursued this and that we are able to take advantage of a partner if you approve us becoming part of the RTAP program.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the,
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Ms. Boots,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Maggard,
yes.
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next up, we have the MSD Bowen Memorandum of Understanding. Dr. Rue.
So, Board, in your packet, you have a copy of the service agreement between Bowen Center and the school district. We are required, as part of our school safety grant, to have a partnership in place. Bowen Center is our service provider for that. We also have an MOU in place with Northeastern Center, so families have a choice of that. This provides clinical staff available to all students and all staff members. So our counselors, families, anyone can make a referral, and Bowen Center will do kind of that intake process and work with families. They provide 2 free sessions, which during that time, they work to make sure they have funding to be able to continue if there's a need to continue, either through private insurance, through grants, or getting them enrolled in programs that would fund those services. Bowen has been a great partner for us, and we're very excited about the additional programming that they are expanding into, doing healthcare, physical healthcare in addition to mental healthcare, and being able to do those side by side and in tandem, just walking people across the hall. So I'm asking for your approval to approve the MOU for the upcoming school year.
We have a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the MOU?
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Ms. Boots,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggard,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour.
Yes.
Okay, excuse me, motion carries. Next up, we have the Joint Services Agreement with the Special Education Co-op. Dr. Wiedenhofer.
Board, in your packet, you do have a contract that is a joint services agreement with the Northeast Indiana Special Education Cooperative. We are one of 13 schools in partnership with our area and local sister schools within the region that share special education services. You know, we ship kids to different buildings for certain services. We often exchange staff members and shift them around and become part of our own homegrown teaching staff, but we also work with other school corporations and transportation and so forth. This is a document that we bring to you on a yearly basis. It's one of those things that has to be re-upped because there are financial services with this, there's transportation services, and there are staffing considerations in there. So I'm bringing this up to you for your approval to approve tonight and in conjunction with kind of our special ed alliance that we have with the Special Education Co-op.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the joint service agreement with co-op.
I'll second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald,
Yes.
Mr. Beard,
Yes.
Mrs. Boots,
Yes.
Mr. Caswell,
Yes.
Mrs. Maggard,
Yes.
Mr. Porter,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Mrs. Partial, we have the food service meal prices.
Good evening, Board. I'm here to just request approval for annually our student and adult meal prices for the 2024-2025 school year. Food service is proud to request that our meal prices actually stay the same. This will be the 4th consecutive year that we have not raised prices for students. And I know in your packet, it said that we were still waiting on information for the adult prices. I did receive that information, and adult prices, we would also like to request stay the same. So for student breakfast, K through 12, that would be a charge of $1.50. Elementary lunch would be $2.40. Middle school lunch would be $2.55 and $3 tiered, depending on the options that they choose for lunch. And then high school would remain at $2.75, $3, and $3.25, also tiered depending on the options that they choose. I would also like to recommend that we continue the elimination of the 40-cent charge for our reduced students and offer them free lunch. We already offer them free breakfast, and so we would like to continue that. Our first year was last year. We offered this for our reduced students at no charge for lunch, and we spent approximately $10,000 to do this, and we anticipate that that will remain about the same, $10,000 to $12,000 for the current school year. Our funds are able to support that. And I think that is about it. So I just request that you approve that we keep our prices the same. Adult prices would be $2.75 for breakfast and $4.50 for lunch. So I just request that you approve these prices for the 2024-2025 school year.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the food service meal prices.
I'll say,
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Caswell?
Yes.
yes,
Aye.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion carries. Food service staff raises.
Yes, thank you. We would also like to request some.
Where you stand on having everybody in place at the start of school year?
We actually have quite. And I also don't want to bombard the girls with brand new people on the very first day of school, but we anticipate 4 to 5 new bodies between most of our buildings at the beginning of the school year.
Is there one building over the other that's harder to keep everybody in?
Not necessarily. We do have a lot that request Carlin Park, and I think it's just because their kiddos attend Carlin Park. So I don't have a super great need for that building, so I try to say, well, I have a greater need here or there, but most people are willing to come in and help and work with us as far as where our need is. So I am hoping that we are inching closer and closer to getting better staffed so we can serve the kids even better than what the girls are already doing. They do an amazing job. So.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve.
I second.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Ms. Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Mager?
yes,
Ridenhour?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Bond information presentation. Dr. Penrod.
Thank you again. So as we've discussed over the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks, we've talked about keeping our tax rate neutral as we've done in the past probably 3 to 4 years or so at around 56 cents, 53 cents. And so what we're looking at is keeping it there. But in order to do that, we need to levy in the debt service fund for for a payment in 2025. And so as you'll see on your next agenda item, we'll look at some resolutions, et cetera, and get this process started. We've gone through this in the past as far as the bond process with the building corporation, excuse me, the building corporation. And this one will be no different, but we'll go through what these slides look like here. And this is our current existing annual debt service schedule. And so if you see, sorry, a little new to this. So you've seen a chart like this before, a graph like this before, and we've got color-coded issues down here, and then each one is coded in these bars. And so you can see our total in 23, as far as the payment goes, is just over $4 million, up in 24, but the rate stays the same. Again, up in 25, but the rate stays the same. And then 26 through 32, where we finish up. And so we'll see another slide like this in a minute where it's all colored in, and we'll see what that looks like. But for now, we've got common school fund loans here, here, general obligation bonds in 21, other general obligation bonds in 22 and 23, the unrefunded first mortgage bonds of 03, and then first mortgage bonds of 22A, 22B, and 23. And so if this one would go through, this will be another first mortgage bond in 2024.
Dr. Penrod, can you make that bigger, or Dr. Manahan, can you make it a wider shot? Perfect. That's fine, thanks.
And we've done, since Dr. Weednoff and I started here, we've done things with them as well. I think we're going to get Stiefel involved this time for a negotiated sale, and we've had a lot of luck with them as well. So just wanted to, need to present that before Mrs. Clendenning comes up. Certainly be glad to answer any questions. That one is on the payback. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I skipped that, sorry. There's your, there's the data for that one. 5.6 maximum borrowing, assumed repayment term of 9 years and 4 months, estimated interest, and the increment to debt service rate. And then some notes down here. Again, based on 5% interest and the same assumptions as far as AB goes, but 9 years and 4 months.
Dr. Penrod, one of the many questions I often get when I'm out in the community or from teachers and so forth are questions that when they see us do these bond issues and they see the building and the construction and the maintaining of our facilities, the first question I get is, why aren't we using these monies for teacher salary? Can you briefly kind of explain that to us?
Yeah, it's the money we're talking about here is debt service money, so it's construction money. And so when we sell, when the school sells bonds, goes through this process, we're going to get bond proceeds or revenue in. We put that in a 700 fund, say maybe 724 next year or this year, 725, something like that. So you'll see that on your board report in the 700s. We cannot use 700 fund money to pay for teacher salaries, okay? So whatever's in that 700 fund can be used for construction. We've got this written that it'll pay for parking lots, sidewalks, roofs, fire alarm, fire suppression, HVAC, any kind of that type of equipment, parking lots, asphalt, whatever other capital type of needs that we might need that probably can't be afforded through the normal operations fund, okay? But if we were to not do this, it wouldn't mean that teachers suddenly get 5.6 million divided by however many teachers we have, and they each get that amount of money. If we did not do this, teachers still negotiate education fund dollars, which is your 101 fund when you see that. So teachers still negotiate this. If we don't do this kind of a project, it doesn't mean teachers automatically get a raise. It just means this project doesn't get done. And so the buckets are totally different. Can't move those two. There are some ways to move between the operations and education fund, which is what I mentioned earlier about the resolution that we'll ask in October, from the ed fund to the ops fund. So there are some ways to do that now between those two, but between the construction fund and the education fund or teacher salaries, it just can't happen. And then you might say, well, okay, you've got debt service money coming in, you've got this levy, so why not do that? And so the money we receive goes into a 700 fund to pay the bills for the construction project. The money we receive from the county or from the local taxpayers comes into the 200 fund, the debt service fund, and that's what's used to pay back these bonds over that nine years and 4 months. And so, again, if we didn't do that, it wouldn't mean that teachers can have access to the 200 fund and all the millions of dollars that, the $5.6 million here. It just simply means that we don't levy for that, and we still negotiate only teacher salaries out of only the education fund. And so there's two kind of revenue streams coming in, bond proceeds and then tax money, but neither of them are allowed for teacher salaries.
It's anybody's salary.
Or anybody's salary, correct, anybody's salary, yeah. Yeah, good point, yeah, good point. So, yeah, you can do, some people pay use bond proceeds to pay like an owner's rep kind of thing or something like, like if it's a huge project, like I don't know, if you're building a totally new school or something, you could use bond money to pay an outside consultant to manage that project for you. But you couldn't pay, say, your current your current director of operations or your current student services director. That salary cannot come out of this stuff.
What happens if our assessed valuation, something happens in the community and Vestal or somebody moves out of the community and we lose all that assessed valuation, what happens to us then?
So the math problem is when the assessed value goes down, the levy has to stay the same because you gotta pay your debt back, right? So when assessed value goes down, the rate would have to go up to generate that same dollar figure to pay back the bonds, or to pay back each every 6-month payment. We try to do worst-case scenario with 0% increases. Obviously, if somebody moved out, that would be a worse than worst-case scenario like that in that case. But we try to do 0% increases, so that's not likely to happen. Again, the cost of an acre is increasing in AV, and so that kind of offsets some of the residential stuff that might get capped out at the tax cap. That cost of an acre might offset some of that. So, you know, for a while we were seeing we were seeing 14 and 15% increases in AV. I doubt that that's going to happen anymore, especially with the way the House Enrolled Act 1499 kind of caps certain I guess liabilities to the taxpayers, kind of protects the taxpayer, which is good, but it also kind of did its job because we don't see 14 and 15% increase anymore. We see 3 and 4, which is kind of typical.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Do we have a motion on that bond resolution?
Let her present.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let her.
Resolution. It's nothing you guys haven't seen.
Thank you. Yep. All right, so do we have a motion on the resolution?
I'll second it.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archbold?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Mr. Caswell?
Yes.
Yes?
Mr. Porter?
Hey.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.
And future meetings, all meetings will be conducted here at 6 PM in the McCutcheon Administration Center Boardroom unless otherwise noted. We have April 20th, September 17th, and October 8th. Superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you, Board. It's been a busy summer. Lots of things going on, from construction projects to staff hiring to maintaining our buildings and so forth. Lots of great activities are winding up. We do have the Y program at Carlin Park that will be coming to a conclusion, along with our little ones over at the ELC, which has been a great summer for both of them. So our directors have done a great job with the Y and making sure that our kids have been actively engaged. So it's been a great program for our parents. And a huge shout out to Jamie Hubbard for the wonderful job that she did with her little ones, providing a little extra for summer help. Remember, this was our first time doing it with the ELC over the summer, and a lot of parents very much valued that. Just a good reminder that the start of school year is right around the corner. Registration is July 31st from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. That will be held at the high school. Dr. Manahan and the technology folks have gotten some information out on our Facebook with a bunch of information and places to go. So if parents haven't liked us on Facebook, we encourage them to do that with the Metropolitan School District of Steuben County. Lots of our information for the upcoming school year is going on there. Again, follow us on Facebook. We have lots of information to share. Also had a lot of information on school supply lists. Parents have asked for those already. It is Prime Day coming up. Is it either today or is it tomorrow and Thursday or something like that? So parents like to have the list ahead of time. Teachers' lists have put out too, so those parents can buy those things and get those things ordered for Prime Day and some of those kinds of things. Shout out to a lot of our PTOs. I can mention Ryan Park right off the bat. There's a huge picture on our Facebook page of all the school supplies that our PTOs and parents have brought in for the kids already. So that's a huge blessing, and we very much appreciate it. And then rounding things out, Teacher Day, teachers report back to the district on August 5th and 6th. Those are our in-district days. And then our first student day, believe it or not, is going to be August 7th. So school seems to be starting earlier and earlier every year, and everybody else around us very similar in those start dates as well. So excited to have the little ones and then the big kids and the teachers back in the buildings again, have full buildings. So excited to have that.
Any board member communication?
I do. I just like, thank Rosie for all the years of service she's given MSD as a teacher, as a administrator, and as a neighbor. She's my neighbor. And so, you know, we should be very appreciative of everything she's done. And I wish her well as she moves on.
Definitely. Any other?
And I also want to say thank you to MSD on behalf of Angola Balloons Aloft. We were fortunate to use the facility this weekend, and it was spectacular. So thank you for that opportunity.
I just want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to the grounds crew and to all the custodians that have been working their tails off all year to get our buildings ready for kiddos that are coming in about 3 weeks. And this goes back to the Balloons Aloft. I had the chance of walking back through the football field on the night that they started the afterglow or whatever, and to look at that campus down and through there and look up through there, the improvements that have been made over the last couple of years, and the particularly fine job that everybody does to make our facilities look fantastic. You go around, look at any other school corporation in this area and see if anything has anything that looks close to what we've got, and we'll certainly appreciate what they do.
I'd also like to say that I know you talked about doing some stuff with Facebook. There's a lot of good information out there. We're doing a lot of great things here at MSD, and I just think if people go out there and follow us on Facebook, all kind of social media, you'll see a lot of the good stuff that we're actually doing here at MSD. So nice job, whoever's putting that all out there. Thanks to them.
If there's nothing further before the board, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
And the vote, please.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Caswell?
Yes.
Meg?
Yes.
Mr. Poor?
Yes.
Mr. Ridenhour?
Yes.